Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Off camera, I changed the setup on the machine and I've been working a little bit off camera just to see how things will progress. But now I'm gonna show you what I've done and what I'm gonna do next. You can probably see that on this side here, on the right side, I already cut, and it will be the same on this side. So it will be 5 millimeters deep and then gradually moving up, blending to this level. Here's a better shot of what I just done, all of this area here, and also the Dyneema anchor. And as you can see, I did a little bit of work rounding up all of these sharp edges. I still have to do a little bit more on this side here. And the next step now will be to start cutting all of this area here that I marked with a pencil. And once again, one more setup here on the machine. And now I'm going to cut this face down to this level. Everything went very well and relatively fast, and now I need to cut this face here, but I'm limited to the distance that I can reach on this y-axis. So I'm gonna change the setup on the machine and then I'll be able to cut this face. Just to give you a perspective of what the shape of the Speargun looks like. So from this end here, where the rollers are, all the way up to this point here, the stock is straight and parallel. And it's 50 millimeters wide from this face up to this one here. Then it drops down up to this point here. And then there's another straight section here. And now the area that I'm gonna cut next, it's actually a radius. It starts here and it ends roughly 7 millimeters away from this face. Up to now, this Speargun looks pretty much, or reminds me of Lego construction, because everything is very sharp and square. But now I'll start putting radius on these sharp edges, and by adding radius, it will improve the look of the Speargun, but also will create a more organic shape. And that inside the water will be a big advantage, because everything will be more fluid and creating less resistance when moving the Speargun. I'm using the belt sander to cut these big radiuses, and once again I used the 10 plate since I did this one here and it worked so good. Now that's the way to do it. I use this rod a bit to cut this radius, But as you can see, the radius is too small compared to the template, and this is the biggest router bit that I have. So now I'm going to put it back on the machine, and using a different cutter and making multiple cuts, I'll be able to get fairly close to the final shape and size. And then I'll use the same method and I'll cut this top radius too. I've been using this file to get these rods finished, and I got this paper template, and I use this to see if the radius is on size, and right now looks pretty good. So just a little bit more and this will be done. I know there's quite a bit of work still to be made before this project will be finished, but I just couldn't resist and I mounted all of these components like the Dyneema stop with the rollers and the spear shaft. These rods that I just made, they turned out very good, and one thing that I really like is this. Seeing all the different colors from the layers of wood that the plywood is made from. I think once everything is varnished, that will give a very unique look to this spear gun. So for now, I'll carry on with the work, and mostly what needs to be made is shaping the stock by putting rods on these sharp edges and shaping the handle. So one step at a time, and eventually this spear gun will be finished. Now I'm gonna cut a 6mm radius on these edges, and I'll use this router bit to do it. Ideally, I should be using the router table to do this job. It will be a lot faster, but I decided to make it here on the milling machine because I can more easily control how much I'm cutting at a time, and I can see what I'm doing versus on the router table. Most of the times the tool is covered by the piece of wood that is being cut, and I'm trying to minimize the risk of making a mistake now on these final cuts. It can happen, but let's try to minimize it. The only drawback is that this is going to take me quite a bit of time because I'm very limited on the distance that I can cut at once, and for that I have to make multiple setups. But with a little bit of time and patience, I think that will be possible. And for this little machine, it will be another test to see if it's up to the task. I think it will be. Okay, so far so good, but I'm gonna cut this radius a little bit further this way to be closer to this bracket. And then I'll make a transition from this bigger radius up to a very small radius on this point here. But that will be done with a file at the end. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it like this. Looks good. So now I'll do this side here. It's taking a little bit of time, but it's coming really good. So I'll continue it and then I'll show you the end result. I haven't finished cut all of these rods, but I wanted to see if I needed to move the rod a little bit closer to the bracket. So now I'm blending the small rod to the bigger one. But I think I'm gonna leave it like this because with the bracket in place, doesn't look too bad. Been working on this dynamo anchor for some time, and I'm putting a radius on all of these sharp edges to prevent the line from being cut. And especially on this area here, with this needle file, I started making a radius and then using the dynamo line, and by friction it was possible to cut a bigger radius, but also it made this face very smooth, and that is good because it will prevent the line from over time being worn out. And now it's possible that to see that the line, instead of bending at a 90 degree, it actually bends around the radius. And with this bigger file, I am also putting bigger reds around all of these edges. Takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. So as you can see, I have these reds pretty much done on both sides, top and bottom. And now I'm cutting this last portion, but I can only cut up to this line here, because from here, this face climbs up and this one here actually goes in. So this area here is wider compared to this one here. And for that, I have to make another setup. So just a quick overview of the work that I've been doing, cutting all of these reds, and so far so good. This is the area that I just cut, and now I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do this area here, because like I said before, this now starts to climb up to this level here, but with a little bit of time and patience, it will be done also. And then the big challenge ahead, shaping up the handle. Quite excited about that. I know that some of you are expecting me to keep going with this video for you to watch me working on that handle and start giving it some ergonomic shape to it, but that will have to be for another day. I hope you liked this one, and if you did, don't forget to give that big thumbs up. And if you're new here, I invite you to visit my channel, and if you like what you see in there, subscribe to it. And also don't forget to press that big thumbs up, which is quite important because it helps the video to be recommended to other people that otherwise they may not be able to find it just because they don't know that I'm making these videos here. And also, if possible, write a comment. It's with great pleasure that I read all of them. I know that sometimes it takes me way too long to answer some of your comments, but the support and the gratitude that I receive from your comments, from knowing that thousands of people are watching these videos throughout the world, makes me feel very grateful, and for that I'm very thankful. So for now, I gotta say thanks for watching my videos, and I'll see you next time on Mr. My Videos for You. Stay safe, keep your eyes open, and be brave. Bye bye.